Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to finalize our Congress with the last session, and it's my honor and privilege to introduce to Professor Marcelo Martinez Ferro, well known for many of you, that has been traveling from America many kilometers from here, but very close to our hearts, very close friend from Buenos Aires. Marcelo, he started his medical career in Buenos Aires and developed the residency and specialization in the hospital, Children's Hospital Ricardo Gutierrez in Buenos Aires. Later on, he was working for many years there at the same hospital, and now, and in the other hand, he developed many of the things that he developed in all his life. Now he's the chief of division of pediatric surgery in Fundación Hospitalaria in Buenos Aires, and for the Hospital Infantil. He's a professor of surgery in pediatric surgery and has been in places of responsibility, in position of responsibility, many of them, but probably in our interest. He was IPEC president also for not so long ago. So I'd like to comment that we meet this year 3 times, and I hope to meet many times. First time we met was probably sooner than this one, because it was in 1996 in San Martin de los Andes in Argentina, and by that time we were very young surgeons, very enthusiastic, with a lot of ideas, and I can say that he developed most of them. We met many times since then. Here we are with our friend José Luis Peiró, that he was working in Barcelona, and now he's in Cincinnati at the fetal surgery program, directing the fetal program in Cincinnati, and Marcelo not only with him in that area, also has nice friends in fetal surgery. As you can see, it's called ATSIC, and Michael Harrison, one of the pioneers of fetal surgery. So he was speaking in many fields, but probably what it's well known is his compromise in laparoscopic and minimal invasive surgery. So much was developing minimal invasive surgery, especially neonates, that when I was working in Sevilla, I took all my residents as an obligation to go to Buenos Aires and make a stay there with him, and all of them came absolutely delighted. He worked a lot, had many cases, and developed very interesting techniques. Then also he, for different situations, he well involved in pectus deformities, and you know how he was compromised on that. He developed many things. Probably he's going to talk. His talk today is going to deal with this topic, and this make an evolution, a big evolution also in the treatment of pectus carinotomy, among other things. But mostly what he is dedicated to his family. So we are friends, we have the same objectives. We like life and enjoy life. We like surgery, and we like our families. He is with Valeria, his wife. So please, Marcelo, come here, please. And thank you very much for coming.
Well, thank you for that introduction. It was, you know how much I admire you since we met in San Martin de los Andes, and how much I admire most of the people that are here. Actually, I admire this society. That's why there's something in my CV that you were wrong, because right now I will change this, and I will change to this color, because I wanted to give my lecture as a member, you know. I just became a member, I paid my fees, I obeyed, and thank you very much. I think that this society is amazing. I'm from a distant place. I may be the first Latin American to become a member, so, I think I would like to come here many years if I can, because of the busy schedule. Thank you for the invitation to this meeting. It's a privilege to be talking here. I will talk about some new things on the field of pectus excavatum and carinatum. I will focus on what I think is going to be the next thing. That's why I call imaging and indexes the next pectus revolution. Because it's going to be a revolution. I mean, the first revolution came in the early 90s when Dr. Nas, he came with this new surgery. It was a complete paradigm shift, and everybody was changed his mind. Now, for the last 15 years, nothing really happened. Modifications of the technique, probably the fact that pectus carinatum is no longer, surgery is not the first option, but bracing. That's maybe it came from the Donald Nas idea. But the next generation of things will come from imaging and indexes. And I want to introduce you this group of crazy people that is the Chest Wall International group. Some of the members are here. It's a group of surgeons that has the characteristic that half is pediatric surgeon, but the other half is adult cardiothoracic and thoracic surgeons. So we are fish of different ponds, and sometimes we bite each other, but we take very well along together because we are from different countries. And I've been attending to this meeting for years, and attending to this meeting changed my mind. So that's why I introduced you to these people, and I will introduce you to this survey that we did 2 years ago. We used the Chest Wall membership and the SurveyMonkey database. We had 10 multiple choice questions. It was supervised by the Chest Wall president. It was sent to 334 members, and 28 and 94 answered. So this would be the answer of a selected group of people that were considered really experts. So this is what we asked. Question number 1 was, which preoperative studies do you order in all 100% of your patients with pectus excavatum? So 82% of the people will answer a CT scan or a 3D CT scan. And up to 50% of the people will use X-ray, echocardiography, or pulmonary function. To our surprise, nobody was asking, for example, for a cardiac MRI. And I will show you why I was surprised. There's a lot of indexes over there. Maybe you know it's a list is huge, and it's a real mess. That's why we started with this survey. And we wanted to ask which indexes you routinely use in your practice. So almost 90% of the people are using Haller index or a modified Haller index. That's the vast majority of them. So we said, okay, let's take a look at the Haller index. Haller published this paper in 1987. It's 29 years old now. The problem with this paper it was only 33 patients. It was retrospective, and it was never, until this day, validated by another paper. Never. So, we all know that Haller index has problems. They are thoroughly documented in the literature. Which are these problems? Well, people will say that 3.25 cutoff for surgical indication is incorrect. There's people will say it's variation with thoracic shape, variation with age, variation with inspiration and expiration. It doesn't consider asymmetry, it doesn't consider cardiac compression, and it's helpless for surgical strategy planning. Let's check each one of these. 3.25 cut for surgical indication correct. I will show you these two pictures. Here on the left, this is a normal patient. His Haller index is 3.72. So we have to take this patient to the operating room right now. The second patient, his Haller index, because his thorax is rounded, is 2.15. So we have to send him home according to Haller index. So there's something wrong here. I will show you some of the papers. There's a huge amount of papers telling all this. In 2007, Killa et al. Just came up with a very good paper that for them, Haller index cutoff point is 3.1. So who has the truth? We don't know. Now I will show you one of my patients. I mean, who will say that this patient doesn't have a pectus excavatum? But I have to send him home. Why? Because his CT scan, the Haller index is 3.24, one less than 3.25. So he's not a surgical candidate. And look at his heart. He has a cardiac compression, and he has a pectus. So what's going on here? There's something wrong. Now, variation with age. Don't et al., with a very good study, 574 patients, came up with the conclusion that Haller has significant variation with age and sex. Regardless of the age or the sex, they propose that the cutoff point now is 2.7. So each time we go lower. No, who has the truth? We don't know. So variation with inspiration or expiration. I mean, you know that a CT scan, when you send a patient to a CT scan, what will they do? They will tell, take a deep breath, and then they do the CT scan. But my patients, when they have them in the operating room, they're not like this. They're relaxed. So I was looking, I always have my CT scan in the OR, and I said, this is not my patient, there's something wrong. So we started to study this, and this is what we came up to. We asked the people, you order a Haller index in inspiration, expiration, or you don't specify. If you don't specify, it's like you will go for inspiration. So 80% of the people are asking in inspiration, deep inspiration. So we published a prospective study in 2013, this is from our group, and we came to the conclusion, look at this, the same patient, at the left, Haller index 4.99 in inspiration. In expiration, Haller index 8.36, it's the same patient. So what's wrong? So we found that very significantly, 0.001, Haller index variation of 29, almost 30% of Haller variation in inspiration and expiration. Also, we found that we could operate 20% more patients if we ask the CT scan in expiration. You understand? So now we have more surgical candidacy of our own patients that before the insurance companies were saying, no, we won't pay for this patient. So Haller index has problems. So it doesn't consider asymmetry. And so you know that almost 2/3 of the patients come like this patient. Why do we have asymmetry? Asymmetry comes because of sternal rotation. And you can see here that this patient not only has a huge sternal rotation, but the shape of the thorax is different. And look at the vertebra. It's even twisted to the side of the rotation. So we started to watch this patient even from the back. It's all shifted. And Haller index is not considering this. So it doesn't consider cardiac compression. And please raise your hands, who of you perform pectus surgery, if you can tell me. Okay, we're in good shape. You won't get asleep. So this is what you see when you put your scope. I mean, the heart is compressed. And nobody, the CT scan, the ultrasound is telling you that the heart is normal. But I have two eyes. And I'm watching the monitor, and that heart is compressed. And so how can we study this? And I mean, nobody's telling me that the heart is compressing my patient. And the insurance company will say, oh, this is just aesthetic. I say, no, my patient has a problem. So we need to study this. It's not about the lung, it's about the heart. So this we started in our place to do cardiac MRI. And look at this cardiac MRI. Look at this right ventricle. You can even show that the right auricle has more blood. There's a gradient here of pressure because the auricle cannot send the blood to the ventricle. So the ventricle is collapsed, the septum is inverted, and you have a lot of problems, and you have dysfunction. How do we measure this? Okay, we started to do MRIs in all our patients, and we also realized, look at this cardiac compression of the right ventricle, that the compression moves while you breathe. It's really like a cardiac massage, you know? So we need to study this. How can we study this? Well, we will let you know. Helpless, it's also, Halley index is helpless for surgical strategy planning. We asked the group of experts, if it's not useless, why do you use thoracic indexes, no? Because some of them will say, I don't use them. But if you use them, why? And you will imagine that you use a CT scan because you will, change your surgical indication. But you know what? Only 13% they will answer that they will ask a CT scan or a cardiac or a thoracic index because it will help them to change the surgical strategy. Most of the people is using it because the insurance company wants it or because they will show the patients a picture. And so we're not using it. I mean, there's a lot of information there. We are not taking advantage of the information. So let's see all the problems that we have, because if 3.25 cutoff is incorrect, this is unfair for patients and for doctors. And if variation with age, thoracic shape, inspiration or inspiration is true, it's unreliable. And it doesn't consider symmetry, not consider cardiac compression, or is helpless for surgical strategy planning, it's unpractical. So we ask the people, the higher index is essential, very useful, or useless. And look, almost 90% consider it essential, very useful, or useful. Now, then we ask, if in your opinion, I mean, this is the same group of people, and I was there too, okay? I answered this. In your opinion, a 3.25 higher index as cutoff value between surgical is correct or incorrect? 60% almost say it's incorrect. So, and then we ask, if you had to choose only one index of all these indexes, which one will you use? And 70% will say, I will use the higher index. So the question is, why? What's wrong with us? No? So, because it's easy to measure. So easy, just take a ruler and just measure it. Because everybody's used to it. It's easy, everybody's used to it. It's like mainstream. It's not, no? You say mainstream? And it has low interobservation variability. And this was published by Dr. Naswood. They realized that the Haller index has a very high interobserver reliability. So you measure it, I measure it, he measures it, and more or less we will all take, because it's easy to measure, we will all have the same numbers. So that may be the reason for which we are using it. But we are using a wrong tool. And somebody has to start talking about this. So the conclusion of Haller index is that it needs to be upgraded or replaced. We need like the 2.0 version or something. And then the new imaging and indexes need to be explored. We need to explore new indexes. So we have all this menu of indexes that is really a lot. It's a lot of papers, and each hospital uses its own index, as Dr. Tovar said, and that's their truth. And nobody uses the other one index, so it's a mess. So these are all the indexes that we have them, so I classified them. This is the first classification ever of indexes. So they are clinical, like the anthropometric. There was a paper here. Is the author here? The anthropometric index is a good index. The X-ray indexes, like the Welch-Haller, CT scan indexes, a lot of them. MRI, we are using cardiac MRI. Ultrasound, and now lately the external scanner, external body scanner index. That I will tell you a little bit about this. Problem number 1. Surgical cutoff, thoracic shape, age, sex, inspiration, expiration. How can we come up to solve this problem? Well, fortunately, people cleverer than us came up. This is people from Kansas, City Children's Hospital, Mercy Children's Hospital, where Dr. Holcomb is, St. Peter in 2011 came with this beautiful index called the correction index, and I advise you to start using it. And this is how you measure it. If you want to take a picture of it, I will leave it for a second. It's very easy. You take a baseline here with the vertebrae, and then you measure the deepest point, that is B, and the less deepest point. And then it's A minus B over A times 100. This will give you a percentage. It's nice because it's a percentage of how much is your pectus sunk, you know? So it's not related to the shape of the thorax. It's very nice. And we've been using it and we validate it with our patients, so it works. So this is a publication. You see, when they use the Haller index with a control, normal control, you have overlap here of normals and pectus. This, my patient was there, you remember. But then when they use the correction index, there's all pectus are here and controls are here. For them, the cutoff point was 10%. So now we think that if your patient has more than 10%, now you may say that he has a pectus excavatum. Now, example of this paper. Haller index 2.73, less than 3.25, but 22 almost 23% of correction index. So he has a pectus. I mean, he doesn't have a pectus here, he has a pectus for the correction index. Now, my patient, you remember him? He had 324. Now, when I apply the Haller index 324, correction index 33.34%. So it's a good index. Now, cardiac compression. Cardiac compression, there's a paper from Dr. Parks in Korea, Kim et al., very good. He makes like a Haller index of the heart. And so he called it the cardiac compression index and the cardiac asymmetry index. So they were the first one to start to watch the heart. The problem is in the heart. What we are doing, we started with ultrasound, and there are papers, like the people from Denmark are studying all this very seriously. They came up with two indexes, the cardiac index and the cardiac output, and they found that pectus excavatum patients have problems there. Don Jaroszewski, who's a general thoracic surgeon, cardiothoracic surgeon who works in Phoenix, Arizona, she's working on an intraoperatorial echo ultrasound. So I was there at the OR, and I was watching the ultrasound, and when she put the bar and shifted, the compression moved, and I saw it by myself. So they're studying this, and she found in many findings significant improvement in right heart chamber size and outputs were seen after the repair of pectus excavation and elimination of the cardiac compression there in situ in the operating room. Very interesting paper. Now, what we are doing in a combination with my hospital, with a center of diagnosis, very, very prestigious center, we're using the stress ultrasound because we want to see what happens with this heart when you are in maximum stress. Because most of these patients will tell us, "Oh, I'm okay, but I cannot run. I run less than my friends." So that's very difficult to measure. So we start to measure the heart in movement and in maximum exercise, and we found these are our findings. Very significant, what I showed you in the MRI, tricuspid diastolic pressure gradient. There's a gradient between the atrium and the ventricle, different pressure changes. Tricuspid valve area change, left ventricular dysfunction and right ventricular dysfunction. Very difficult, these papers, very difficult to measure. We are still working on from the publication. So this is what we find. Tricuspid valve diameter, tricuspid diastolic pressure gradient up, and diastolic left and right ventricular dysfunction. And we have, this is all like 150 patients right now, it's all prospective, and we are still working on this. We are also working on cardiac MRI with this center of diagnosis, and this is what we find. We found so many cardiac compressions that the people from the center came up with a classification. This would be maybe the first classification in the world of cardiac compression with MRI. So this is what they propose. These are all radiologists. They say class 1, no right heart compression, but they see the normal position. You see a small pectus here. Left-right heart shift. You see that the heart is shifted to the right but not compressed. Then you have type 2A is right ventricle compression, and you have middle right ventricle compression. Like here, you see the ventricle here is like in the middle of the ventricle is the compression. And right and basal right ventricle compression is type 2. And then you have like this kind of patients with type class 3 right AV groove compression in the middle of the valve. And depending where the compression is, the symptoms are completely different. And then you have class 4, the whole thing is compressed, you see? It's like flattened. You see that the size of this ventricle and the size of all this is almost 1/3 less. So we are studying this, we are coming up with this classification, and we are still in the middle of our study. This is very preliminary, but this is what we found. 62 patients, prospective study, no compression, 21% of the patients. This means that almost 80% of the patients have some kind of cardiac compression. And then the most frequent one is the mid-right ventricular compression. Then we have the AV groove and right ventricular compression, 29%. Then, less frequent, the mid and basal right ventricular compression, no compression with shift, and the AV groove compression, just one patient. Now, this is cardiac compression. Now, let's talk about a little bit of asymmetry. Asymmetry is very important. When you're a surgeon, you're doing the NAS procedure or whatever procedure you like to do, and you want to leave that chest the best possible to the normal. So we have to consider asymmetry in our mind. So Dr. Lee et al., again from the group of Dr. Park, came with all these indexes that are good, but they were never published. This is just an abstract of a meeting. It's the pressure index, the asymmetry index, eccentricity index, unbalance index. Very difficult to measure, but the simplest one is the asymmetry index. It's just this over this. If you are normal, this should be 1. It should be 0. Sorry. And then if you have a variation, no, it should be 1. Like this one has 1.07, he has an asymmetry. But this index has still to be worked on. Now, right sternal rotation. The most common is right sternal rotation. It's the most common. Fortunately, because the left one to the left is uncommon, but it's dangerous, because when you're doing the NAS procedure from here to here, you may find the heart on the other side, and you may have a cardiac perforation. That is the big issue in the NAS procedure. It is a big problem that the NAS procedure has. So when you have a sternal rotation, you need to know it. And somebody has to tell you. You don't want to just find it when you are in the operating room. If you have a CT scan and nobody's telling you that you have a left rotation, you are using this is useless study. You need to use it for your surgical planning. Okay? So now we all know that we call pectus excavatum a sunken chest. Okay? So if it's a sunken chest, if the sternum is sunk and tilted, we need to find an index. Maybe we can call it the Costa Concordia index. It's like sunk and tilted. Probably we're working on that because the sternum is like a boat. So problem number 4: surgical strategy planning. We need to plan our surgery. We need to think what we're going to do. How many bars are we going to do? What will be the shape of the bar? Why are we bending a bar in the OR if we have a lot of technology today? This is like very old things. And when you bend the bar, you leave a lot of marks in the bar that when you want to take that bar out, it may bring you a problem because the tissues may be fixed there. Why are we doing this? So bar location, where are we going to place? You have a lot of options. And the doctor from Correa Pinto laughs because he was the one who started publishing that pre-bending the bar was good. And we came with his ideas, we came to show you, I will show you what we came up with. Amount of bars. How many bars are we going to use? Where are we going to place them? 1, 2, 3. We have a lot of spaces. And then how are we going to fixate the bars? The fixation devices that we use today doesn't make any sense because we're using wire to fix the bar to another bar. And then the bar moves and you have the ribs. And so there are new methods of fixating the bars, and I will tell you a little bit about this. So talking about sternal depression and amount of sternum depressed. Not all the sternum have the same angle of depression. Some of them, like this one, will have a 33 degrees. Some of them will have 64 degrees, and that's different because it will change your surgical strategy. Also, it's not the same. This is a normal patient. This patient has only 30% of the sternum sunk, but this one has 100% of the sternum sunk. And this will change my surgical strategy. If I put 1 bar here, it's okay, but if I put 1 bar here, it's not going to be enough. The correction is not going to be enough. So we need to see that. And we need a new index. Now, remember we are talking about the sunken chest, and we are talking about percentage and angle, so now we have our sternum there like a boat. We can call it the Titanic index maybe. So we need to work on this new index, probably thinking on how much of your boat is sunk and which is the angle, you know. So we are working on this too, and this we have some numbers, and what we call the Titanic index is very, when you have a group, control group of 53 patients, more or less the controls have 6.8 degrees of the pressure angle, and the pectus will have around 17 degrees. And we are studying this, and the percentage of depression for normal is 1.8, and for pectus is around 46% in our patients. No? So we are studying this Titanic index, and then we ask the surgeons, if you selected the NAS technique, would you consider it important to have a way of predicting in advance how many bars will the patient need? And 75% answered yes, we want. So we want. So we think probably, we are working on this, that to predict a surgery how many bars you're going to use, and in our country it's important because the insurance company will tell you how many bars are you going to use. I don't know. I mean, I need to know it in advance to see if I will cover the surgery or not. It doesn't make any sense, but they will ask me that. Sometimes they will send me only one bar. So, and then I can use the Titanic, you know, the Costa Concordia, the cardiac compression, and the age, and then probably the combination of all these indexes will tell me how many bars I will need to use in my patient. Now, regarding bar shape, length, and design of the bar, that is what we need to think on today. We have a 3D CT scan that is a study that has tons of digital information, and we are not using it. So we started to use this. We hired a group of engineers and industrial designers, and we've been working for him. This is Gaston Belia, my partner, for the last 3 years working on this. And this is what we came up with. We start examining the CT scan. We make all the calculations, where the bar will go in, out. We have a software for this. And then we take it to design software. And then we can design this that will be a special bar just for your patient. And this is what we do. We print it. We 3D print a plastic bar. So now that we have this plastic bar, I can call the patient to the outpatient clinic and I can try it on him. And I can say, okay, this patient, I will put the bar here, here, here. And we are using the new way of fixating the bars, that is with a bridge. This is Dr. Park's technique. The best way of fixing the bars is the bar with another bar. You fix them between each other and they don't move anymore. And you don't even need to fix it to the patient. So now we can calculate the bridge, we can calculate the sternum of the thorax of the patient digitally, we can calculate, we 3D print the bridge, and then we tell the company, okay, make us the bar for this patient to the name of the patient, and we have the perfect bended bar designed just for us, and we put it in its perfect fit. And this is what we have been doing for the last 2 years. Like a patient like this one, he's a huge patient, very massive, 100% of his sternum is sunk, so how many bars are going to do? We have to place 3 bars to obtain this result. And this is how he looks like. And we didn't have to bend any bar in the operating room. Everything came to the measurement of the patient. So this is what we're working on, using all the information that we always had in the 3D CT scan and we never used. So, but the new thing, the newest thing is the external body scanner. And Manuel is here too. Last year, it was in 2015, yes, Manuel and Olivier Tiffet and François, that is also here, they held this meeting in Saint-Étienne in combination with the Chest Wall International Group. And it was the first time that I opened the program and I don't see pictures of patients. What's going on here? He has these images. So he had in the program, all the patients were scanned. So he had all the digital information. So the patients were presented not as pictures only, but as scanned. So this was a breakthrough for me. That's why I took pictures of this program, because I realized that something was changing from this meeting on. And so I really was very excited. So there at that meeting, I talked with the guys, and this is my car, and this is my house, and I had the second scanner in the world. I brought it home. They came, the engineers from Orten came to Buenos Aires, taught us how to use the scanner, and we've been using this scanner. This was our first patient. a very severe pectus carinatum, and we are just starting to learn about this, and it's fantastic because this scanner is specifically designed for pectus deformities. So it will calculate to you in seconds all the indexes that you want, whatever index. It's also calculating the titanic index. But a good thing for us that we are using, the external compression brace, so it calculates automatically all the measurements that we need to make the brace. And so what we are doing now, we're using the scanner for excavatum, and we can use it to see, the amount of, the angle of depression, the percent of depression, everything can be calculated with the scanner. And then in the carinatum patients, we can cut a slice, like a bread, of our patient. We cut a slice, then we have it there, and then we can 3D print my patient. I can print it. Now I have a slice of my patient, so now I have my FMF compression device, and I can try it on the patient to see if the fit is okay. And I can even calculate how will the thorax will expand. We are working on this, on the materials and everything. So it's helping us a lot. And we are just starting with all this, and we are very excited. So this was one of our patients. You can see how we are trying to fit the brace to the perfection. So we've been advancing. So all these years, a lot of things and changes have come, and it's all about indexes and imaging. And so our conclusion for this is that thoracic imaging and indexes are needed. We need them. It's not that we don't need them. Haller index needs to be upgraded or replaced. New indexes need to be identified and validated. If I come up with a titanic index, don't use it until someone of you will validate it and say it's okay. We need to validate. Somebody else has to come up with the same. But one of the beautiful things I love of the bracing for the FMF, that our results was validated by the Norfolk people, by Manuel, by the people from Holland, even having better results than us. That gives us a lot of relief because we are biased. So you need that somebody will validate your studies. And this has to be done from a society like the Chest Wall International Group, because those are experts. Now, new promising technologies will enhance imaging, like external scanning. This is very, very exciting. And so I want to finish this talk inviting you to the next year. It's going to be, the Chest Wall meeting is going to be in Florence. You have Professor Antonio MESSINEO somewhere here. You can call to him. If you talk to him, he will give you a discount. No, just kidding. But it's going to be very nice to see you all there because it's an incredible meeting, and I really, from my heart, wish you could come to learn more from all this group. Thank you very much.